Fiona Griffin. I would like to offer you a warm cake meal of voucher to our video. We called it Past Meets a Present in Moneyneena. This video has taken 2 years to produce. Last year, the class of P6 and 7, 2005, and this year, the class of P6 and 7, 2006, have enjoyed this video adventure. I hope you enjoy it too.
Everybody likes to get away from the stresses of everyday life. Many people find escape by taking up a hobby. Vintage cars is such a hobby, and there are quite a few people in Moneyneena involved in it. Shay Rogers is a Primary 6 pupil in our class. His grandfather, Big Joe Rogers, is into vintage. Hello, Granda.
Hello, Shay. Well, what are you at today?
Oh, I brought some of my friends from my school to talk about vintage to you.
Aye. And who's these? Aye. Three fine girls.
Ursula, Emer, and Nilla.
Hello, girls.
Hello, Joe.
And are you three interested in vintage?
Oh,
There be so many girls interested in vintage. More boys that be at that kind of carry on like Shay here. Say, and what do you want to know about vintage or cars or that?
Could you show us your vintage car?
Oh, certainly, Shay. But these girls want to see too, eh? Well, we'll certainly show you. There's my old vintage car. She's a 1972 Ford Taunus. She's German. Different design from what the British Ford would have been in that year. Then we had Ford Consuls and Cortinas.
Joe, what made you buy this particular car?
Right, well, that's a long story, Emer, why I bought that car. I'd go way back to 1972 when I bought the first model of these, and I bought it in Glasgow, a brand new car, and brought it home, and it was a pride and joy of my life then. And then one night I was coming home from Dublin, I just not too far from Tripperstown, and I went round this bend. I was going round the bend when a vehicle was coming towards me, and I knew it was going to rip the heart out of me if I didn't get up on the ditch. And I pulled up on the hedge, and the vehicle still took the whole side of the car, and I was lucky to be alive. If I hadn't been up on the hedge, I would have probably been dead. But anyway, the car was a write-off, and I always fancied having a car, a similar car again. And then I couldn't see one. There were only 4 coming to the British Isles that year, and I had one of them. I knew where there was another one in England, but the man wouldn't sell it. And then about 5 years ago, I discovered that this doctor, he had bought one of them, and he had it from it was new, and he had advertised it for sale, and I saw it and bought it. So that's how I come to have the car.
Granda, is there great power in that engine?
Well, there is, Shay. There's a 2.3 litre V6 engine, and it'll go to 5,000 revs to the minute, and it's capable of putting the car to maybe 120 mile an hour. So that's a fair wee bit of power for a car of that time of day. And
This car was made in 1972, Joe. It's in well good shape for being such an old one.
well, Ursula, this car was bought by a doctor in 1972, and he looked after it. As a matter of fact, the back doors were hardly ever opened, and the windows don't even screw down. So that's why probably him and his family, they used it just as their good car, and they never abused it.
Joe, is there much difference in the cars now than there was then?
Well, now there's a difference of this that it only has a 4-speed gearbox, and most cars now have 5 speeds, and in fact some of them have 6 speeds now. And the other difference is well, we have a wooden steering wheel. That's a difference. You don't have that now. And the handbrake, see where the handbrake is positioned? Down in there, and it's a pistol type handbrake. It pulls up and it's positioned on the right hand side of the car. So that's another difference.
Granda, what does this mean?
Well, see, that thing there means it's a 20M, that's the model of the car, the 2000 S XL. That's a 2000 Super XL. And see that V badge there, that V6 there, see, that means it's a V6 cylinder engine. And that's what gives it all this power.
By any chance, Joe, could you give us a wee run in the car?
Well, I would be more than delighted, Tima, and see, none of you want to drive now. Oh, your deal, come. Aye, come on, hop on. On board. Well, there's one thing you don't have to put seatbelts on in the back. Well, there you are now, girls. And she, what do you think of that for a bit of a run, Niall Gar?
That's bumpy.
I had bumpy shape, but then the technology wasn't put into cars then that is put into them now with all the tests they do and that. But that's not too bad.
You have a couple of other vintage machines, Joe.
I have. I have the old tractor and once there, and another machine down the yard. The tractor and once used for pulling machines with the bogs and that. And there's the coil of rope wound up there, that's wound up by gears from inside the tractor. And it's a Nuffield tractor, a 1948 Nuffield.
Could you show us around the tractor, Joe?
Pardon?
Could you show us around the tractor?
Well, as I was saying there, the winch is for the recovery. You park the tractor and you put this big spade down into the ground. That holds the tractor there while you pull the article that's in the bog out towards you onto the edge of the bog. The big wheels on it are part of keeping it on the bog rather than sinking into the bog, and then I would have to get it pulled out. So that's that.
That's a strange machine there, Joe. What is it and why did you get it?
That old machine there is an old road grader that comes from the cemeteries in Belfast. It was used way pre-war time, way back maybe 80, 90 years ago, and was pulled by horses, and it scraped the walkways and that clean of muck rather than people having to use a shovel. It was one of the mechanised, the earliest ways of not shoveling that you looked at me.
Do you still use it?
No, I don't. I just have it as a sort of showpiece to give to shows and that, you know.
You've a few other wee things lying around there, Joe.
I have this, them old tongs that they used to use for lifting the coals from the side of the hearth up onto the top of the fire, and they stood them beside the hearth. And the other item there is an old grubber that was used to grub in between drills of potatoes. But this time of year they would use it in the horse and grub it, and then they'd run them up with a drill plough. And that was made by a local blacksmith, a man named John Kelly, from up Bantern Road, Liverstown. His name is on the thing, and he also made other different things like crane crooks and that sort of stuff too, and even those old tongs, things that he made those type of things as well.
Noel O'Neill and Michelle McEldowney are P6 pupils in our class. They are cousins, so they share the same grandparents, Monica and Patsy. We are at Patsy and Monica's house. These are my cousins, Martin and Connor McCrory. My grandparents are interested in vintage machinery. What's this called?
A ripper.
How do you use it?
It's for cutting corn or cutting hay or cutting grass. And there's a knife goes in there, and you put the knife down with that lever. And then when you're out at the end of the swathe, you lift the knife up. And there was a long shaft in it there, and it was moved up and down by that lever. That's how you use it.
What's this?
That's called a bamplet.
What does it do?
It's just the make of the machine. It's the make of
What's the seat used for?
sitting on. You sit on the seat and shave the corn off as you go. When you would have the knife full, it would shave it off.
Do you only need one person to do it? Like, do you have
One
more
person
person
could do it, yes, when the horses. One person sat there with the horses. But when you have the tractor, you need two persons.
When did you buy this machine?
Your granddad bought that machine in the 1950s,
How much did she cost?
£90.
It's quite cheap now. Like, if you got it nowadays, it would be worth really dear.
But it was not cheap then. £90 was a lot of money then, compared to now.
Can you open this here, boy?
That's the part of the machine of it. That's the part of the gearbox. Yes, it opened. And they put grease or something in there to keep it going.
Granny and Granda, what's this machine called?
That's a potato digger. That was for digging spuds.
It says here that it was made in Ipswich, England by a company called Ransom, Sims and Jeffries.
Yes, that's right. My husband bought it of a neighbour man down the road. He didn't come to us from England.
What's this here bit for?
That's for putting up and down the spade on the back of it. And that was for lowering the spade or putting the spade up if you needed it.
What's this here? What did you do with this bit?
That's the wheels, that's the cogs and the wheels for keeping it going in the field. But if you were taking it on the road, you put a rim round it for keeping it from breaking those.
What's this here, Monica?
That's the thing that spun the potatoes out. That's the reel. That's the reel of the digger. And that put the spuds out in a row. And then you gatherers come and gather them.
What's this bit here for?
That was for putting the shaft in. It was for horses drawn. First horses took it. And then in later years it was fixed to go on a tractor.
What's this bit for?
That was for putting it in gear, or is it or out of gear or something. Putting it, lifting it up. The shaft, you see, they moved the thing up and down. See that there? You had to keep that down to keep it shaft lifted and lift it up.
Granny, what in the name of goodness is this?
That's a potato boiler. That was for boiling spuds new. You put the spuds in there, you put in water to them, and then you put a fire down in there. You put in the fire down there, and there was a pipe went out of the back. The pipe went up there, and the smoke went up in there. And in later years, when the spuds was getting older, you had to bud them and put them in there for to boil.
When did you buy this?
That's your grandfather's father, your great-grandfather, bought that sometime in the 20s. But it was used on up to the late 60s.
Why did you need so many potatoes?
Because your grandfather had 20 or 30 sows when I came here. And the sows were fed on spuds and meal. That's why we needed so many potatoes.
I thought you were going to say that you and Granddad had all the spuds.
No, it was the pigs, the sows ate.
We are here in the townland of Bankran. This beautiful countryside is renowned for its strength and endurance. We are about to meet Hugh Hearn, who is the tug-of-war trainer in this area.
Hello, children. Where on the go did you come out of? Hello, yes. Yes, welcome to Balkan.
Thank you.
Yes, it's great lasses. And where do you come from?
We're up from Moneyneena there.
Moneyneena. What's Moneyneena school?
Yeah.
What do you call that school?
Stones.
And who teaches you up there?
Master David.
And what do they like?
Hello.
You don't use the Sally Road, don't you do that? No. That's great.
Hugh, I heard people saying that you're a water diviner. Is that true?
Well, I'll demonstrate a bit to you now, young man. Just you step back. There's a spring right here, and I'll try and get it to you. All right. That's her there. You hold that back of it. Keep it from the ground, but get you that rod in your hand there. Used to an old pump here many years ago. That's for the water for the house. Now hold that back. Oh. See? But it nearly take a skin in your hand. They're a good old while there, but we had to close it up. We're on the street, and I can't get the street over, you know. It wasn't just real good water, but it was good enough for the cows and that, and the horses in them years gone by. But you just couldn't, they didn't make tea out of it, for they're too much, a wee bit of spa in it. But you know what that is? Good lad.
What's the story behind the big shed, Hugh?
Well, the story behind the big shed is where the boys trains in it. On a wet night, they can go in there and they're nice and dry, and we'll clay on the floor. And you see them big ropes and them big poles there, and them wicks. They pull them up. And even if they're midges, we get a lot of midges here with the trees round, you know, it's great. And you'll be sweating a lot and the midges are stuck to you. So that's a get. The sheds a get us set to us. Where we can have light pull, we can pull round on lower pulleys under, and we have slats here, they can pull on the slats. The width's all there too, you see them big wire ropes and all that. You put on the tug-of-war rope there, and you can pull on out there. And the way them's pull it there, they have to pull twice as far inside here. Is that they're double pulleys the way they're done, you know. And it's great for them. Mix the legs, and the pair puts sweat out of them. Tell you that for the lads, you know. That's what that shed's for. It's a good job. The lads built that themselves. The tug-of-war boys. Done all that work. And I hadn't done nothing, only I fed them well a few times, and mind you there, the boys can eat. They nearly ate me in the house and home. What we're going to do now, we have to tidy up round here. We're going to spray it, and we're going to put Bankran 1965 and 2005. So it's 40 years. This club is going. This is the 40th anniversary of Bankran Tug-of-War.
Hugh Hearn has responded graciously to your invitation to come to St. Owen's to talk to us about tug-of-war. Hugh, you're very welcome to your class.
It's a pleasure to be up here among you young people. Do you boys and girls learn any poems at school nowadays?
Of course we do.
Oh, well, let's hear you then. Just give me one.
The answer, author unknown. We're looking for the answer. We're searching high and low. We're doing what we can, sir. We really want to know. We've ransacked desk and drawer, sir. Basket
time since I did any poems now, but I used to remember when I was at school, my old aunt used to know a few. I'll try and do my best. I'll try one I think it's called The Village Blacksmith. Under a spreading chestnut tree, the village smithy stands. A smith a man, a mighty man is he, with large and sinewy hands. And the muscles of his brawny arms, as strong as iron bands, his hair is crisp and black and long, his face is like the tan, and his brow is wet with honest sweat. He earns whatever he can, and looks the whole world in the face, but yet he knows not any man. Week in, week out, from morning to night, you can hear him swing that heavy sledge with measures beaten slow, like a section in the village choir when the evening sun is low. And the children come home from school, look in the open door. They love to hear the bellers roar and catch the burning sparks that fly like chaff from a threshing floor. He goes on Sunday to the church and sits among the boys. He hears the pastor pray and preach, and he hears his daughter's voice singing in the village choir, and it makes his heart rejoice. It sounds to him like her mother's voice singing in paradise. Ah, now sure he did not think of her once more, how in her grave she lies, and with a hard, rough hand he wipes a tear from his eyes. Toiling, rejoicing, sorrow, onward through life he goes. Each morning sees some task begun, each evening sees it close. Thanks to thee, my worthy friends, a lesson thou hast taught. Thus in the flaming forge of life, a fortune must be wrought.
You, when did you start tug of war and why?
I started tug of war in 1965. And why I started tug of war, Charlie Money had a team, and I asked a lot of us young lads from Bantry at that time to go out together in a pull. And there was competition on at Barrafelt, and we're down there thinking we wouldn't even win an end. And the first team we met was Charlie Money, and we beat them, 2 state ends, and after that it went from strength to strength, tug of war and Bantry.
Have you had many disappointments?
Oh, indeed, I had plenty of disappointments, young year. I think the worst disappointment I had was in 1967 in our own town of Dripperstown. We beat a team the night a few weeks before, a good tight team, called Ahadeway. And that night we thought the crowd in that would won it. But we blew out in the final pull. Some of our boys hit in the ground, we just weren't right prepared. And we were very disappointed after. I knew if the team had been right, we'd have beaten them. But we just didn't perform on the day. It's like any other sport, you must be right prepared. And our team wasn't right that night.
Have you travelled any places in tour?
I have seen all through Europe, Africa, America, and Australia with tug of war. And the first time we headed away was in 1968. A place called Borkalow and Hull. We're representing Northern Ireland. And after that then we travelled all over the world. In America twice, South Africa, Cape Town, Johannesburg, and all around there, and Australia, and all through Europe and England and Scotland and Wales. Tug of war.
Have you won many trophies, Hugh?
Yes, I've won a lot of trophies. I don't know many I have, but there's a house full of trophies. But I didn't win them. There were 7 other men on the team by me. It's all down to teamwork. Tug of war is the no individuals. 8 men must be doing it together, thinking together, cool heads, everything working as one unit, all together.
Hugh, the way you said cool heads there, what does that mean?
Cool heads, well, when a man lost the head, you always hear it said, cool heads won wars, isn't it? You must be right up here before you go out. When you catch that rope, everything's asked for you at once. It's not like any other sport. Football, the ball can be there and you can be standing here. But tug of war, when the referee says pull, you have to be just downright and tight, and you know, and your mind must be right, and the man that's along with you, the whole 8 goes out as a team. It's all one, you know, all working together.
Do you have to be very strong to be a tug of war team?
Strength is very important, but still all, you need fitness. And it's the way it has nowadays, there are different weights. The light weights, 560, kilos, 600 kilos, 640 kilos, 680 kilos, 720 kilos. And usually the men you get that is tall, lean men, carrying no weight, popcorn. Tug of war is about endurance. Big heavy men is no weight, they burn out. And you need to see them there, them needs to be good too, buy that stuff here. Every party needs to be right.
Which trophy is most precious to you?
What trophy is the most precious of it? Oh, they're all precious, but I think the one that we got last year in Wales, for the UK 600 champions, we won it last year, Bankrellis. I was very proud of the young lads and us to get that. You know, they worked hard for it, and on the day, everything was right for us, you know.
That's a big rope, Hugh. Could you tell us a bit about it?
Well, I'll do what I can now, but here. This rope is about 35 metres, that's the average size of a tug of war, in length. And the breadth is about 35 centimetres, with your hand can get round it, you know. And there are different markings on the rope there. The length of the pole is 13 foot. And there's a red tip on the rope, and two markings on the other side, and there's a pole in there. And when the team is, the referee starts off, gets the rope, lines it out to these markings, puts up his hands, steadies the teams, pick up the rope, he says first, take the strain, and he takes it over to the markings as level, and his hands round like that. And once he says steady, pull, he laps his hands down like that. Once he says pull, they're at it as hard as he can go.
I suppose you would need a good pair of boots to dig into the ground.
That's good, yes. Well, they're special boots for the job. And I've a pair up here with me. You need a good heel. See that there, do you? That heel, that has to be flush. That's steel. And them nicely. And there can be no nails or nothing here on the sole of the shoe now. It has to be flush. This here has to be all level. And a good heel. And that fits in nicely, you know. Tie it on. Them's a Swiss bit. Them come with a Switzerland. That's the kind of Swiss use. But they're different boots now for it, you know. But them is a good bit there.
So Hugh, what's the story with the steel heel?
The steel heel is for cutting onto the ground. You need a good heel. You don't pull on your toes there. You pull that next into the ground like that there, you know. And it has to be flush. And that's why it's steel. And that's sharpened. You can sharpen that way. Sometimes some of the important countries, you know, the likes of Africa or Australia, America, the ground will be as hard as that floor there. So you need a good heel to get into the ground. And your boots is very important. They have to be, you can't have any nails or nothing here. That has to be flush, you know. And the good heel is for cutting into the ground, and that's what it's about. And your boots nicely laced and all around you too, you know. And the right size, they don't need to be hurting you. Of course, a bit hurts you, but they cause a loss on the pull. Good shoes are very important. But still in all, they're only as good as the man's on them. I think you hear it called rosin. You never really tell her rosin, did you? Yes. Well, you put that in your hands before you start pulling, you know. It's very sticky stuff, you know. It's hard to get off something. You have to get petrol and stuff to wash it off. And you rub that in your hands, and then when you hold the rope, get the rope, the rosin will give you a better grip, you know. You have to have a nice comfortable grip on the rope, you know. Hands is very important. You could get a man as strong as two men, and if he had bad hands, they'd no good at all. They're not as bad as when a man's hands are, because he can do nothing. You can't catch it with your teeth, can you? It's the hands.
Hugh, would it be possible for you to put us into two teams for a tug of war match?
There'll be no problem at all. I'll be glad he's outside to get you at it. He's going to come out and do it then?
Yes!
Come on then, children. Let's see what power you've got. Well, the first thing when you do before they go out to pull, the team usually warms up, you know, exercising, stretching, you know. This here, touching toes and getting the legs, you know, stretch out the muscles first. The muscles must be warmed up. You must be warm before you catch a rope. The whole thing is the legs, most of the rubs on, massage on them, you know, and the arms and all that. All them things. And then your gear. You need to be well prepared. The man in anchor always has to get pad in round here. The rope sits round there. That's the boy puts anchor on here. There's a good pad on there for him. The rope round it. Give me that rope. Shoulder there. It keeps it in down like that there. And the referee says, pick up the rope. The rope should be sitting in there. You can't have it down here. That's a foul. The rope has to sit in here and a good pad on down on there. That's the man length. The referee will tell him to pick up the rope. Then he'll say, strain. He gives one chip on like that. And he sits back and he watches. And the referee's hands is up. He'll say, steady. And then he'll say, pull. And he pumps on the feet. And he sits and he keeps it tight. All down to the legs. Leg power. And he keeps down. The rope's running smooth. And it's always holding tight. And if it comes, he pushes with his legs. He pushes with his legs. That's the man anchor. And then the boys in the rope. He's about arm's length in front of him. And he's on, hide it up there. One each, just hide up that rope there. One each. Just that height there, Liam. That's all right. Hide it up there. Keep it up tight. Now, the rope runs on there. He watches, the puller watches the referee too. He'll say, are you ready, coach? Then he'll say, pick up the rope. Strain. One chip, and you have to watch the referees like a hawk. And he'll steady him. Then he'll say, pull. And you pump on the feet, and you sit tight on it. Keep it out tight. And if it's coming, push in the legs. Push through the legs. Push through the legs. All leg power. Push. Then around you sit. Keep it on tight. Letting well arch back on her. Waiting. Right. Come on, now start pushing again. Build it on. More pressure. And you push. 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 Then he blows the horse and the pulls over. Then they give you water. And some boys was down in the one knee. Then you get about 2 minutes of rest. Then you say, change ends. And you march over. Do the same again. The referee, are you ready, coach? The man gives an order with his hand. Same on the other side. The coachman, he's when they got there watching the referee. And then down again, had it again. Same thing. And before you, the rope's usually sitting like that on your toe. You come in, you line out, straight line, arm's length. You pick her up. You can't dig into the referee tells you. If you done that before he should take the strain, he can put you in a warning. You'll get 2 warnings. The next time he can blow you out. He can disqualify you. If a team's hitting the ground, he'll say, pick it up. Then he'll say, you're on your first caution. If you're not getting up, he'll put you in 2 cautions. Next thing, the whistle will go, and he'll point to the other side. You've lost the pull. Strain. Only you're allowed 1 dig. Well, some boys takes it to different feet, but that there could be as good as any, maybe better than most. And as you watch the referee, you pump on this foot here, and you sit tight on it. Keep it tight. And now it's all done. It's your right foot, this left leg is your proper. And you push off this in here. No big jerking or going mad. Steady and tight at all times. And that's how it is, and 8 men doing it together. Are you ready? Yeah. Are you ready? Right. Pick up the rope. Straight. No 1 chip. One. Give slightly. Give slightly, Moneyneena. Give slightly, Drumberg. Steady. Pull. Come on, ye. Keep it tight. That's good. Tight boy, the horse. Tight boy. Give her steady now. Give it steady. Come on, dig in. Come on, young girl, that's it. Come on, lie back on it. Get back on it. Come on now, tighten it now. Come on, good lad, give it down. Good boy, young fella. That's a tight one. Good girl, come on. Come on, don't give up. Come on, don't give it in yet. Come on, big boy, at the back. That's a good lad. Come on. You see the wire? That's okay, that's all right. Well done.
Hugh, who's this lady?
That lady is my granny. That is my father's mother, and her name was McLean. So, what do you think of her?
She's beautiful.
Oh, thank you, child.
Hugh, so who are these people here?
That's my father and mother, the day they were married. I think it was 1940, April 1940. A long time ago.
You, this amazing amount of trophies you have won. Could you point out the first one you got?
Well, now, the first trophy, this is her here. I got that trophy at Marifeld in 1965, many years ago. That's the first trophy Banton ever got, was at 65.
This here's a very interesting trophy, Hugh. Where did you win it?
That's the Hall of Fame award that was awarded to me in 2001. So you can read it for yourselves. I think it should be writing on it somewhere around there. There you are, young year. What does that say?
Hall of Fame Award Hugh Hearn for Outstanding Endeavour 2001.
Good year. That's well done.
What's the most important trophies you've got, Hugh?
I'd say this gold medal here that we won last year at the UK's. Banton is the UK 600 kilo champions. That thing is in England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, and Norway. You know, it's a wonderful trophy, isn't it?
Yes.
The gold. You see it there, 600 kilos, 2004 winners. So, appreciate that, and we also got a cup here which has to be returned a year in the year. It's been held in Scotland. That's presented to us last year. That's the UK 600 cup, and that has to be pulled for every year. You can see the different teams that won on it. You know, English team Sandhurst. Rich Hill won it. Rich Hill is the only team for my Banton that won it for Northern Ireland. Rich Hill won it 2 years. So our boys has to defend that the year. So it's up to them to take it back again. It's up to us to take it back again. Hey, look. This team here, that's the Banton team that won the UK 600 champions in Wales there last year, 2004. That's the team there. And they're one sub allowed. And that's Mickey Bradley, the coach, and that's me. I did the training, and me and Mickey works at them together. That's the team there. This is the present day Banton tug of war team here. That's all the colours we have here. Some young lads joined up, you know, and we're hoping to get more. So that's the panel there of lads that I've got. And this team, these boys here, this is the first team that left Banton, most of them anyway, in 1965. Some of our members that year has passed on, including our coach Danny Grant and his brother Michael, and Oliver Kelly was a member of our Banton team. Just lived down the road. They're passed on. God rest them all. Good men they were too.
As I went a walking one morning night, to view young fair valleys and mountains so gay, I was thinking on your flowers, all going to decay, that bloom around your bonny, bonny sleeve dozen grey. 'Tis often I've rambled with my dog and my gun across these fair mountains for joy and for fun, but the days they are all over and I am far away. So farewell unto your bonny, bonny sleeve dozen grey. My name is James McGarvey, as you all might understand. I come from the Recanard, where I own a farm of land. getting higher, and I could no longer pay. So farewell unto you, bonny, bonny, sleep away. Farewell to old Ireland, the land that is so green, to the parish of Listen and the cross and bound screen. May good fortune shine upon you when I am far away, and a long farewell unto you, bonny, sleep on way. Oh, a long farewell unto you, bonny, sleep on way. Little man.
This is Patsy McWilliams. Patsy, what was the killing like?
This house is a famous house for Killian, and I often come here along with my friends, and we played cards here, and we chatted and talked about everything, and we sat round the fire, and this lady here made the tea, and we had a good night.
That was right, Patsy. Many's a night and played cards.
And played cards too, that's right.
Patsy, was there any Kelly houses that became very popular?
It was surely, plenty of good hilly houses. We went to Danny's and Maggie's very often, and we were sure to get our tea, that's for certain. And best to chat.
Could you tell us the names of some of the good houses?
Well, there was one down the road, the name of Gallagher, a very good house to go call with. Just down the Clone Road, along the 5 Mile Street there. And then there's another house, Danny McCluskey's. Very good Kelly house too.
Hey,
Yes, ma'am.
did you go on your Kelly much?
We went about 2-3 times a week, usually. Or if the weather was fine, and especially in the winter time.
What time would you head out then?
Oh, we'd head out about 8 o'clock.
How long would you usually stay?
We would stay till about 11:30 or thereabouts.
Did you ever stay longer, like on to 3 o'clock in the morning or anything like that?
We would stay longer up to 3 o'clock in the morning if there was a game of cards. And that would go on till at least that time.
Did you like your killing, Patsy?
No, we sure did. We always met our friends and all.
What things did you do at a Kelly?
Well, we talked about all the things that happened during the week, and anything that was on the news, or somebody had died, or the sales, or selling the cattle and sheep and all that type of stuff.
Why do people not go in the Kelly nowadays?
Well, every house has got a TV now, and every house is more modern, and carpets and fancy chairs and all, and you'd have to go dressed now in your Kelly, and you'd have to phone them and tell them you're coming, and maybe they didn't want you at all. So
And did you say that you just went on your Kelly without being asking to go into their house? Did they just
we just
walk in?
Just walked in.
Just like that?
Just like that. Walked in. Now
No invitation?
No. Lift the latch. No, I just left the latch. And
Lift the latch, open the door,
That's right.
step right in
That's
and
it.
take the floor.
That's it.
The people was about always, Patsy.
Oh,
You know, when they were never away too far.
and that was all the entertainment the people had.
Well, just in the question of entertainment, we would love to know what kind of entertainment you were involved in.
Well, we'd go to Northern Hurley now and again. They would have house parties and dances and all. And men would be good on the violin, and they'd come and they'd play the music, and you'd dance till morning.
Did you know any well-known characters at the time?
No, quite a few. Quite a few. It would tell a lot of lies and stuff.
Were they good musicians? Yeah, I think
Some of them
maybe
were, aye. Some of them were good.
Who do you remember?
Well, Paddy Tholen was one man, was a good musician.
What could he play?
He played the accordion. And there was another man, the name of Kearney, he played the violin, and a few like that, you know.
Do you play any instrument, Patsy?
I used to play a wee bit on the button key accordion, but I got very rusty on it.
You're very good at whistling Rufus, Patsy. You're playing the knife in your ear.
I forget that one.
Michael, when did Killian end?
Well, Orla, I would say probably there was a big shift in the Killian around this area, maybe around from 1960 on. And the main reason for that was electricity came to the area. Well, electricity came to Draperstown first of all, and then slowly but surely it was brought out to the country areas. And with electricity came television. And it was the areas up closer to the townlands up in the mountain areas that would have had television last. So therefore the Killian still was very predominant in these country areas, certainly into the mid-60s, but for now from there on it was coming to an end.
Patsy, what's this and what was it used for?
Oh, that's a cobbler's last. That they put the shoe on that and put a half sole on it. That's a new sole and a heel. And this part here, that'll be for maybe a children's shoe or something like that, you know.
That'd be for the heel, would it, there?
That would be for the heel, that's right. That's what that was for, but it's not used nowadays. Because it would cost you more now to have sole a pair of shoes than to buy a new pair. So it's hardly used now, but that's what it was for.
When
yeah,
did people start using it? Or stop using it?
I would say they're still used a wee bit yet, you know, but very, very few use it now.
Is it more like an antique sort of?
It's an antique, that's right. That's what it is. It's just someone belonging to the old days.
Well, was there cobblers around, say, Moneyneena? Or was there one man, or did everybody do their own in their own home?
There was a cobbler there, the name of Brady. And
Dennis Murray.
And Dennis Murray was another, that's right, that's right. And there was a man, the name of Scullion down in Carnamony way, and he done it too, and he would put the nails into his mouth and take them out one by one.
Sure.
Oh, aye. And that was how it was done.
Do you know, did you mention there Charlie Brady? He was a cobbler.
He was, but he was deformed.
Was he?
He was,
Was he very good?
he was very good.
You went to him. What, did he make good
No, I
use?
went to Dennis Murray.
Oh, he's another fella. Was he
Aye.
close by? Or a different
It's just
townland?
next townland.
What townland was that?
Ranahan, they called it.
Ranham.
Another man is on the Moneyneena line.
And Moneyneena.
Aye,
He was the man from Moneyneena.
that's right.
John, what's that you got there?
That's a Harrigan lamp. Did you ever see one before?
Nope.
No.
How does it work, John?
Well, you light that up when you go out and you follow your cattle at bedtime. And you take it on your tail if it's a dark night.
Was it useful?
It was very.
It's good.
See that thing there that's at the bottom there, Anya? Take it out there, you see what that is.
This?
Huh. It's a wee clip thing. You squeeze it.
Aye.
That was for dipping in methylated
That's right.
and light that,
Aye.
and it would heat up the stock there, and then you could light.
That's right.
So that there was dipped in methylated, it was lit, and then it was clipped just where we had it.
That's right.
Clip it on there again on you, do you see? And that sort of heated up that we
The mantle.
That's right.
Oh.
And the stock, the vaporizer they called it.
oh, the vaporizer.
Uh-huh.
And well, how did you get it? How did that get it lit?
Well, then when that would heat up well enough, it would turn, the vapor would come, you see, and you pump it up. Pump
Oh.
it,
That's
pump.
right.
That was that on you.
There, pull at it there, and you see, does it still works?
Oh, it works all right.
Push it again. That's it. Back again a couple of times. Oh, there you are.
Well,
And then you would put a light to the mantle, and that would be away. Well, you'd actually turn it on. There's another wee screw for turning it on to turn the vapour on. Aye, that's
Oh,
it.
aye.
Aye. And that would cause the vapour to come, and then it would light automatic, you know. But it wouldn't light unless it was preheated.
Right.
Clodagh, what's this article you have? It looks like an iron, but what is it?
Well, it certainly looks like an iron, and it weighs nearly a ton in my hands this evening, Megan. But believe it or not, it is an iron, and if you had been born or around about 100 years ago, this is what you'd be using to iron your blouses with and your skirts when you'd be going out to see the boys. So now I'll show you what they used to do. They would take this stone, Megan, and you can feel the weight of it yourself there. Can't you imagine it? And with them big tongs there, they'd put it into that real hot fire. And when they thought it was the right heat, they would lift it out again with the tongs and just put it on there like that and drop that wee door down, and then they would iron their clothes. And you feel the weight of that now, Megan, yourself, for doing your blouses and all, and your skirts and everything. Wouldn't it be hard now? Hard work.
Yep.
And that's an iron, Megan.
It's very different to our modern ones now.
It certainly is. Our modern ones would be plugged in and would be heated up right away. You wouldn't have to wait on them heating up, and you could iron and not burn anything, but the woman of the house had to wait till it was the correct temperature and the correct heat to do her clothes. Nothing modern in them days, all hard work and slavery to get anything done. But sure, there they were. They did very well.
Patsy, what's this thing you have in your hands?
That was a thing for putting the print on butter that they made long ago. Homemade butter, they called it. They milked the cows, usually there may be 2 cows, and they stored the milk in a crock till it got sour, and then emptied it into a churn. And some people later on made a barley churn that you pushed round that way. But away before that, it was one that you had to plunge up and down.
That's right.
And when it was soured about 10 days or so, they churned it. And when the butter would be, when it was ready for coming out, they would then, there were butter spades or a butter dish, and you'd have to go off the butter, and they put salt on it, and they would put into the butter dish, and had butter spades too, and they would, to make a dish of the top, as a wee print, putting a print on it.
Did you make butter yourself?
I churned and surely many a time, a way long ago. And it was always, it was lovely stuff, the homemade butter.
Did you like doing it?
Aye, it was all right. It was heavy work with it. It wasn't as bad with the one that you, it's a old type that you plunge up and down with you one of them ups. And I laughed up there, but I had to down, you could have seen it.
Patsy, I think that's us done with the questions now. I hear a bit of music down there. I think we should go down and join the crack.
That's good, but I'm looking forward to that this last week.
A wee cup of tea would do no harm, would it?
Yeah, a wee cup of tea, and I like the music.
And anything else stronger you would
Oh,
buy it?
oh, sure. Oh,
Now we're going to have Patsy playing a bit on the accordion. What are you going to play, Patsy?
Right there.
That was Patsy McWilliams playing the Flight of the Earls. Now all of my classmates are going to dance while Michael Hegarty plays fiddle. And that was Orly Gilmore, one of my classmates, dancing to a jig. Now Maeve Ryan, another one of my classmates, is going to sing Bull of Oak.
At Bull of Oak, as the sun was setting o'er the bright May meadows of Shelmavere, a rebel hand set the heather blazing and brought the neighbors
Maeve Ryan singing Bull of Folk. Hasn't she got a beautiful voice? Now Orla and Maeve are going to play O Rushy to Fakawala on their fiddle. Now Maggie McCluskey is going to sing Myola River.
On the great Myola River, where anglers sport and play, along its banks young lovers till pass the time away, where the anglers have their pleasure and lovers have their dreams. But give to me that river where Meola's just a stream. Take me to the mountain where nature's still unspoiled, and gaze into the valley where Columkill once toiled, where the ruined church of Patrick can easily be seen, close to where that river, where Meola's just a stream. Let me wander through the heather, where the hare and rabbit run. Let me hear the laughter of the children having fun. For if you take the road to Gortin, from the cross and Balness Green, you will pass that mighty river where Meola's just a stream. When the sun sinks over Erin, that land St. Patrick blessed, we will go for recreation into the shepherd's rest, where the hills of Carnelly in the pale moonlight does gleam, close to where that river where Meola's just a stream. Now when my days are closing, I'll sit down and take my pen. There I'll write the praises of a lifetime in the glen. Then, Lord, if you don't take me up to your home serene, just leave me by the river where Meola's just a stream. Just leave me by the river where Meola's just a stream.
Thank you, Maggie, for that lovely ballad.
This is Celine and Angela Murphy. They are twins. What are you going to play for us, Celine?
We're going to start with a slow air. It's called Lonesome Boatman, and then we'll go into a jig called The Blackbird.
Yeah, I've come here because Patsy Murphy is fed up with you all night. He's run out of bread. Josie, you had nearly all the sandwiches on him. And the buns. You had all the buns with Patsy Murphy and he wants to get you out. So he asked to get me up here. But I can't sing, so this is only a wee bit of a verse of a thing. There's no air on it, but I'll try it. You'll hear it very shortly, Josie. Don't leave it out. I'll try it anyway. It was in the month of May, in the fair at Lisnaskea, when the lilies and the nettles were in bloom. A fair maiden passed me by, and she gave me the glad eye, by the bright silvery light of the moon. Oh, she gave me such a fright, it was true love at first sight, and we thought that we'd be married very soon. We were married right away in the church at Lisnaskea, by the bright silvery light of the moon. When she squandered all me dough, to her house I had to go. Oh, what a place to spend a honeymoon, with no fire in the grate, and shining through the slates was the bright silvery light of the moon. There was one thing I did dread, that was getting into bed, for when she opened the door of her bedroom, I could see up on a chair a set of teeth and golden hair, by the bright silvery light of the moon. Oh, but there was more in store, for when she began to snore, sure she blew the bedclothes all around the room. And there upon a peg hung a great big wooden leg, by the bright silvery light of the moon. So all young men take my advice, and look your woman over twice, for they're always out to catch a purgazoon. And make sure that she's all there, for her teeth, her legs, her hair, by the bright silvery light of the moon.
Now Michael, Celine and Angela are going to play the final tune.
Everyone likes a good story. Well, I've got a couple for you. There was a great character who lived in Moneyneena in the 1900s. His name was Hoodie McGuigan, and I'm going to tell you two stories about him. The first I've called The Big Race.
Now we welcome you to the feature bet, the one you've all waiting for. The given goals a mile. All the runners have gathered at the starting line. Wait a moment. There seems to be a problem. The colonel looks very agitated. Let's go to a reporter at the starting line. Well, Packet, what seems to be the problem?
Well, Mikey, there's indeed a problem. The Colonel's looking for his protege, the well-known and flamboyant Hoodie McGuigan, the star of the show, if I may say so. Hoodie has not turned up, and the race must proceed in 2 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is most unfortunate, but wait. Yes, Packy? Yes, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, there has been a development. Let's go back to Packy at the start line.
Mikey, you will not believe this, but an old man of about 70 years of age has offered to take the place of Hughie McGuigan. The colonel has gone bonkers and is beating the old man round the ears with his cat. What? What? I don't believe it.
What is it, Packy?
The old man has just thrown away his sticks. Now he's thrown off his coat and his hat. Good grief, it's not. Yes, it is.
Who? Who is it?
It's the bold Hughie McGuigan.
Thank you, Packy. The runners now under starters' orders. The flag is dropped and they're off, and it's Shay Rogers who has taken an early lead, and right on his heels is PJ Kerr. But jumping juggernauts, what is going on at the back of the bunch? A runner is falling. It's Hughie. He must have injured himself. He's slowly getting his feet. He's staggered a bit. He's been left behind the rest of the runners. He's tripped over himself and fallen again. He won't catch up now. Meanwhile, at the front, there's a new leader. It's Lenny Durgan, closely followed by Maggie Watson. Jumping juggernauts, Hughie McGuigan is chasing the pack and he's catching up fast. Yes, he's pulling up again. He's gone lame. He's dragging his left leg and falling back again. What? I don't believe it. He's just sat down in the middle of the track. What is going on down there? Wait. Packy is down at the edge of the track trying to talk to Hughie. Packy, what is going on?
Well, I'm up with Hughie. I'll try to have a word with him. Hughie, what's wrong?
Mac, I've got a thorn in my foot. I've got it squeezing it. Ah, there. I got it out. That's better. Well, I'm away with myself.
Thank you, Hughie. Well, there you have it, Mikey.
Yes, the race is happening up now, and in the lead is McShane the Rain, closely followed by Jim McGuigan, a younger brother of Hughie. Jumping juggernauts, Hughie McGuigan is flying, and he's caught up with the feet, and passing him one by one, and now he's in third place. With every step, he's catching everyone, and now jumping juggernauts, he's taking the lead. They're approaching the turn. Hughie reaches the flag first, but jumping juggernauts, Hughie hasn't turned. He doesn't realise his mistake. The crowd are shouting, "Turn back, Hughie!" But he doesn't understand. He's lost the lead, and now Stevie G is in the lead, followed by McShane the Rain and Meg Watson and then Shay Rogers. And yes, at the back, it's Hughie. Thank goodness he's turned. If he hadn't turned, he'd be halfway over the Glenshane Pass. There's a quarter of a mile to go. What is the second race? Now every Kenny.
Thank you, Maggie. Still in the lead is Stevie G. Maggie Watson putting him under pressure with singing in. And after back, coming quickly up the field is Hughie McGuigan. Once again, he's passing the runners one by one. Wait a minute, that ginger brown cat has just run onto the track. Hughie has stopped and down on all fours and is chasing the cat off the track. What is going on down there, Packy?
Yeah, you're right in not deceiving me, Kenny. Hughie McGuigan has gone down on all fours and is barking like a dog chasing after a cat. And here is Colonel. Colonel, what's wrong with Hughie?
I think my man's gone barking mad, but the race isn't over yet.
Thank you, Colonel. Back to you, Maggie. There's 800 yards to go, and now Maggie Watson is taking the lead. McShane the Rain is in second place, and close on his heels is Jim McGuigan, who is brother. The Hughie has once again returned to the race, and is up sides with chasing the pack. He seems to be talking to the runners. Packy, can you catch what he's saying?
Yeah, so I'm talking to a spectator who's close to action. Did you hear what Hughie said?
Indeed I did, he said. I have to leave you. I'm in a devil of a hurry.
Sorry to interrupt you, Packy, but things are reveling fast. Hughie is flying like a bird. He's passing McShane the Rain in second place, and with every step catching Maggie Watson. Yes, he's passed her, and is racing to the finish yard 50 yards to go. They'll not catch him now. Hughie is going to win the race. Unbelievable! Hughie has won the race and is crossing the line 20 yards ahead of McShane the Rain in second place. And would you believe it? He cartwheels 1, 2, 3 times. Hughie McGuigan has won the Dungannon Golden Mile for the third year running. Unbelievable!
Did you like that story? Well, here's the second one. I have called it The Flight of Fancy. Hughie loved watching birds fly. He had a dream he would fly like a bird. He was sitting one day, talking with a few of his neighbours, and they were watching an old fat gander flapping his wings heavily and flying for a few yards.
If that old gander can fly, so can I.
Don't be silly, Hughie. People can't fly.
I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky.
Was that you saw jumping off the peach stack today? shaking a flame. But you get away with your notice and sweep that yard, but you better.
But Hooty was his mind set on flying, was running round the yard looking for things. He found 2 old pot lids. He stood on top of the turf stack and jumped off. The pot lids didn't help. Then he found 2 half doors.
Where'd you get these doors from, Hooty? I got them off for a barn, Barney.
Does your father know what he did?
You never let on, you'll never notice. Fine, Hooty. You'll never notice your farm without its door.
Barney and Mickey John helped Hooty to carry the barn doors over to the stack and carried out a test. Once again, no success.
Are you alright, Hooty? I'll be alright in a minute. Well, you had a good try. The doors were too heavy and the stack was too low. I know how to make it work now. Give it up, you clip, you.
That evening, Hooty made adjustments to his flying equipment. The next morning, he announced to all who would listen that he was going to fly off the spike.
You mad, son! You jump off that spike, you break every bone in your body, make it down, come on! Ma, if I crack the secret of flying, I'll be famous. You'll be famous for breaking every bone in your body.
Hooty ignored all attempts to persuade him to give up his risky pursuit, and everyone gathered at the top of the spike to witness this event.
How far do you think you'll fly, Hooty? See the high mully grazing over the under. I'm going to land down beside her. Well, if you land on top of her, you'll give her a fright.
And with that, Hooty launched into space. Instead of gliding over the mully, he dropped like a stone and landed in a thorny bush. And that is the story of Hooty McGuigan's flight of fancy.
Hello Mary, hello Ashley. Hello Teresa.
Hello, Ashley.
I'm Ashley Conway from St. Owen's Primary School just down there, and these are a few of my mates. We were wondering, could we have a little peek at your work?
You could, surely. Do you want to come on up?
You're all straight to the
Hold
middle.
on, head on.
So Teresa, what is happening here? Like, what are the ladies doing?
Well, as you look round the table at the minute, they're working on, they do have a craft fair at Christmas, and they always do a lot of work for it. At the minute now they're doing a big iron bed spread. We done that last year and it was a great hit. This is the agent for it here, and all the ladies are doing the squares and the visuals. You look around the table, you'll see all the different squares. Then they're all hand sewn together and the whole thing's assembled, and then we have a big wrap up. But for the craft fair, the ladies have produced an awful lot of work, as you'll see it, and the whole pile of it over here at the table now will show you it in a wee minute.
Teresa, this is a lovely presentation. How did you do it all?
Well, Ashley, as you can see here on the table, there's a whole mix of range of everything. There's crochet, there's hand knit, there's sewn, and the wee teddies. The teddies is all done by hand. As you can see the way they're done, the ladies all done that. All the ladies had these here. They're hand sewn, and they're then attached. You see the buttons are all put on here just with wool, and they've done the eyes. They're very, you know, for children there's nothing on it but hurt a child, you know. The crochet, as I said, this is a lovely wee set here. Rosie done. She's doing a lot of these wee christening outfits. The hand sewn, and we have the machine sewn, which made a lot of aprons. And these here are for pegs. And these are the bag holders that you would have lots of plastic bags at home. Rose and Clodagh done the sewing the machines for these, and Dolores and Geraldine. Rosalind, she done this wee set here, and this is a lovely wee scarf and a wee hat. These are all for the craft fair. And we have this here for the hot water bottles. And lovely wee small garments here. Isn't that lovely? That's for a wee child, wee hat. Isn't that nice? And on this basket here, if you pass that over to me here, they're actually at the minute they're working on these here, and these are the dishcloths. These are all done out of cotton. And the scarves, all the different types of scarves, the wee child's hat, and the wee small teddies. Any garments can be done. And on this here, you see the way they put the buttons on this. This is the big thing now at the minute, the buttons on the scarves.
Teresa,
You mentioned hand sewing and machine sewing. What's the difference?
Well, Seamus, on the machine, as you can see, I've shown you this work earlier. If you look around the edge of that there, it's all sewn nice and neat. See the wee small stitches on that? Hold you that a wee second. Now, when you're doing hand sewing, it's done with a needle and thread. See that? That's a tack and stitch. And then you would sew that smaller, but it never would be as tight as the machine. Never would have that closed effect like that. It's just the difference on it. Bridget's here's doing a wee bit of sewing. She's turning up a pair of trousers. See, you're going around the edge of the trouser leg now like that. And it gives a closed edge to it when it's finished. Hold it straight. Explain. See that now? See the way that's all finished off? See the way it's all closed done nice and neat? There we go. Do you want to have a wee go at the machine?
Yep.
I'll do a wee bit of sewing then I'll let you have a wee go. Alright? Now Seamus, we're doing a wee stitch here down along the side, we're doing a wee seam. And you just keep the material nice and even, and you keep your fingers well away from the needle. That's just a wee straight seam. And as you can see down at the bottom, that's the pedal, and that's working the machine. And now you see the wee stitch. See the way that's a closed edge now? See that's closed off? And see how you could make a patchwork quilt with it? If you sewed all those squares together, you would do all the different colours. Do you want to have a wee go? Alright now, so put it on first here like this, right? Put the needle down. Now you keep your fingers well back from the needle and just guide the material along. See that line of stitching now? You're going to sew along that line of stitching. Now, ready to go? Right, guide you that along.
You could granny here or your mum.
That's it now. That's it. Alright. Keep your fingers well back from it. See now? See the square now coming? See your two colours now, and that's how you make your patchwork square.
Teresa, you mentioned earlier about flower arranging. Does it take a lot of skill to do flower arranging?
Well, Karen, it doesn't. It's a very natural thing. As you can see, the ladies are working away here at the moment. They're doing a wee centrepiece. Now they're going to be working with fresh flowers, but you can also do silk flowers. Wee silk flower arrangement up here. That's just done with, that's a wee sheep, it's just done for a wee child. The ladies are working with greenery here at the minute. You hold that a wee second. They're just actually cutting and they're shaping round. They're doing a round circular arrangement. Wee small centrepiece would do a tipple. They're just going around the edges of it here. And it's a nice pastime. At the class now the ladies have done a wee bit of the gardening. They've filled pots for outside and they've done hanging baskets. But you can just see the procedure of that. You see the shape coming on that, see the way it is? And that's just a round one. And then you could have long shapes or you could have a high one. Just different shapes.
Is that the only kind of greenery you use, Teresa?
No, you can use any greenery cane. You can use ivy or you can use hedges, you can use privet hedge, you can use shop bought greenery. Lots of the flowers that are done in churches and for weddings and that, it's shop bought greenery you would use for it.
Is it men that flower arrange or is it just women?
Oh no, men flower arrange as well. Some of the very nice flower arrangers are men. Kenneth Turner, he's one of the flower arrangers. He's a very famous flower arranger. No, it's mixed.
Teresa, now that the foliage is done, what do you do next?
Right, the foliage is all finished now, and as you can see, Aisling, you have your ship, your round ship. So we're going to start putting on the flowers. This is just a Bonnie Jean. That's just your basic flower, and you start putting that in the centre. And filling it out. And you just turn your arrangement round like that.
We'll be doing this for the home this evening.
And you mix it, and this is a Dahliana, a white Dahliana, that's a different flower. And another wee thing too, always when you're cutting the flowers, you always cut your flower at a slant. See that there, see the way I'm cutting that? Because that's left so the water goes up, because if you cut it that way, drop in the flow of water, always cut them at a slant, and that's letting the water go up and the flower quicker.
Shannon, isn't this a lovely piece of work here?
Yes, Carla. Teresa, could you tell us a bit more about this?
I can, surely. This is what I talked about earlier on about silk flowers. Now, whenever a mammy would have a wee baby boy or a wee baby girl, you can see it's a wee sheep. Do you see that? And if you look on close inside, you can see the silk. For the silk flowers, we use the different type of oasis. Do you see that? See the colour of that? And this is all the different types of silk flowers we've put on it. We have lilies, we have carnations, there's roses on it, anemones, and then we put the feathers on it. And of course it's blue, it's a wee boy. As you can see the wee thing, a wee boy, and the wee dummy, the wee bottle. Do you see that? And you can do that up in pink or lemon or any colour that you want. So lots of different things you can do with silk flowers.
Hello, Martha. Is it true? Is it true you're 93?
It is very true indeed. Unfortunately, I can't make it any younger. I'm 93, and I'm enjoying life very much. I enjoy coming up to the club. Love the club, and it was a lot of fun when they come up here. And my friend Rose McCluskey, she's
Granny Carla, I can't be up to any mischief.
She's a geeky one.
She's a geeky one, Martha says.
She's a geeky one.
Where the knocks get on well. Don't we, Martha?
We do have a lot of fun and lots of laughs here.
And
And it's
Alice now.
one of our big days. And Andy Alice.
Hello, Clodagh. What are you doing here?
Well, Karen, I'm doing a little scarf here. It's actually a simple stitch. It's called garter stitch, and I only have completed one part of the scarf, which is going to be ending up involved with the lilac scarf, and I hope to make a little twister scarf out of it and actually be able to wear it in the winter time on a cold evening. So this is a very simple stitch. It's just called the garter stitch, and it's a little stitch that I started off with when I was a wee girl about your age. There's actually a little rhyme if anybody knows it, but I can't remember the rhyme now of where you put the needle in through the bunny hole, round the big tree, up now, there. So that's the way you just go like that there, in, through and out like that, okay? Now you just hold the needle as if you're going to hold a pencil, and just you keep your other hand up round your stitches like that there, all right? And the will through, good girl. Just take your time. There's no hurry. Put your needle in now and pull your thread like that there. Now, starting up in the next stitch. You always slip the first stitch because you want to keep your side of your scarf nice and straight. Right on, right on round, good girl. Pull through, take your time, and off like that, and pull your thread tight. Good girl.
Now, Seamus, we're going to start crocheting, right? All we need is one needle, ball of wool. We're going to start now with our chain, right? Now, this is the way here you do your chain. This is the foundation. This is what you need whenever you're going to crochet any garment, is your chain, right? Would you like to do it, Seamus? Now, here we go. Very good. That's it. Now hold it tighter, Seamus. That's it. Very good. Have you been at it before? Did you ever do it before? Did Granny ever show you? You know, your Granny was a founder member of this club. Started a long time ago.
When did it start, Mary?
It started maybe about 10 years in a wee place called Woolies.
And where's that at?
Down the 5 Mile Street. And then we moved up then to our new hall up here in Rathdow.
Do you think it's going to be successful in the future?
I hope so. It's going now maybe 12 to 13 years. And we're going very strong. we have 2 classes, a Monday and a Thursday. Well, Seamus, how would you find that? Would you like to take it up? Would you? Well, then I could take you on. What about it? Oh, you have to go to school, but could you not come in the evenings? Now we call that there a chain. Will you remember that? He's doing his chain. Your families.
Hello, Joe. We'd like to welcome you to our school, St. Owen's Primary School. Now, Joe is a stonemason and he's here today to talk about his work. Joe, how do you make this wall so straight?
Good question. Well, to keep a wall straight, we built, with that end over there, we built it up, sloped it up that way there, plumbed it up there. We did the same at the other end, and then we pulled a line along it.
Joe, why is the wall so rusty?
Why is the wall so rusty? Well, those stones there, they've got what you'd call ore. There's an iron, like an iron ore in them. And then whenever they get wet, it's just like rust, it runs down and spreads over the wall. And as the years go by, it'll get even more rustier than that.
Joe, where did you get the stones at?
The stones came from a quarry in Donegal, which they call Hightown Quarries in Donegal. It's a place owned by Dairy Industrial Waste.
Joe, what makes the top so bumpy?
What makes the top so bumpy? Well, when you're building a wall, there's 2 ways you can do it, or 3, or whatever way the person that you're doing for wants it. But that one there, he wanted an irregular shape on the top. So we used long stone, as you can see. That one's longer, the next one's a bit shorter, the next one's shorter. You use them that way, time about long and short, and that gives you that irregular shape on the top. Or you can do them again with stones all the one length, and that gives you a level top.
Joe, did you do this here?
I did that, yes.
Now, we've come to see Joe at work. Joe, could you tell us about some of your tools?
Right, well, I have got all the tools here that you would need to build a wall, starting with my trowel. That's the trowel for lifting the mortar to bed on the wall before you set on your stone. Now, there's a hammer. Really, that's a brick hammer, but it's very useful in the stone building too, because you can chip off wee corners or shape up a wee stone whatever way you want it with that there. And there's what we call a lump hammer. That's a heavier hammer that would knock off bigger wallops, or you could use it to hit your hammer or your chisel. There's a wee bolster which we use for maybe splitting a wee stone or 2 sometimes, that one there. And there's the pointing tool. That's for pointing up the wall between the stones whenever you have the wall built. And then there's another chisel. You can use that chisel for chiseling off bits of stones too, or whatever. And you brush it off with a wee brush, something like that there, brush the joints. Well, we've looked at all the rest of the tools, and one tool that you really do need whenever you're building a wall is what we call the spirit level. And whenever you're building a wall, in order to keep it plumb straight, you put the spirit level up like that there in your plumb, and you see that wee bubble there, and those 2 black marks. When that wee bubble's between those 2 black marks, that means the wall's plumb. With the line put in place, we need to start to do some building. Well, 2 of you go over and bring me, see that big stone over there? That longish one. Bring that one over. 2 of you go over, bring it over. Now, put that stone there, just put it there. Push it out a wee bit to here, right, that's all right. And a wee bit there, that's that. So, now, with 2 more of you go over, there's another one over there. See that one there, it's a different shape, not quite as long as the other one. Bring it over. Right. Now, put that one down, push it up, give a wee joint between that and the other one, and get it lined up there. Aye, that's good, that'll do. So now, there's another one over there. With 2 more of you go over, and see the other one over there, the one at the back of the page. Would you bring that one over? Right. Put that one down now, just place it up almost against the other one. Line it up, that's good. Push it away and a wee bit there, that's okay. Now, we can get smaller stones. I mean, a few more smaller stones. See that small one over there? Bring it over. Put it on the end of that big one there. That'll form an end there. And, right, that's good. Now, see that one over there? That one. Right, bring that one over. Put it there now. Now that'll sit over the joint between those two stones there. That breaks that joint. So, that's okay. Right, bring over another one. We're doing well now. We could raise this wall on a bit. Another wee stone. Bring that one over and set it there. Right. Bring over another one, put it there, and so on. And right. There's a couple lying over there, bring them over. So put them in. Right. That's not too bad. We're getting on here, right here. Right, there's another one over there, bring it over. And well, I think we're nearly complete. That would nearly do for now. And we've it all lined up. And I think that looks not too bad.
This is the old Moneyneena School, which was closed in 1958. In 1968, it was opened again and used as a youth club. The youth club was established by Martin Brunton and a number of his friends. Martin has agreed to talk to us about his days at youth club. Hello, Martin. Thank you for coming. Michaela, would you like to ask the first question? Where was the club located?
The club was located in what was always known as the old school up in Moneyneena.
Where did the whole idea of the club come to start, or why did you start this club?
The youth club started because it started with, there was a group of us who always complained about having nothing to do. And the priest of the parish at that time was Father McGlinchey. And he was speaking to one of my friends one day, and Anne O'Kane was the one he was speaking to. And he said to her, well, it's your own fault you have nothing to do. And she said to him, Father, what did you mean by why it was your own fault that we had nothing to do? Well, he says, nothing happens unless someone makes it happen. And it's up to yourselves to make something happen for you. So from there, we started with having meetings in the parochial house with Father McGlinchey. And from that, we came up with the idea of a youth club.
When you got started and everything set up, what activities did you do and what did you do in it?
Well, when we started up, as you understand, we were just new. We had no money at all whatsoever. So when we started up, our games consisted of all the members brought along board games, I mean drafts, and we had a dartboard and just Monopoly, that type of thing. And then we started to have wee fundraising events, like small discos in the youth club premises itself, just for the youth club members and their friends, and we charged something like two shillings, 2 and 6. And I remember we bought some weightlifting equipment. Some of the boys were into weightlifting. We bought some of that. We used a record player for the last half hour of every session. We had, that's where most of us learned to dance.
In the beginning, Martin, you said you didn't have enough money. How did you make money?
Well, I remember we had a 10-mile sponsored walk, and it would have started at the old school, and I remember we went down around Derrynoid, I think, and round Drumderrig, and back up to the old school, and where everybody collected sponsorship, the same way as you would do nowadays. And we also had, I remember, a 25-mile pram push, where we got an old pram, and we had someone in the pram the whole way and pushed them for the 25 miles, and it went down the 5-mile straight, or the Clone Road as it was called then, and out onto the Glenshane Pass. And
earlier on, Martin, you mentioned that you pushed people in the pram. Was it a big person or a wee person?
It was one of the club members that was in the pram, and I think we might have changed the person in the pram along the way somewhere, maybe a few times. And it probably was difficult. I didn't do any of the pushing, by the way. I drove along just to make sure everybody was safe.
Do you remember anyone who was in the pram?
I can't remember just exactly who was in the pram, but I remember some of the members. I don't remember them all now, but I'll mention one or two. I remember Terry McShane was one.
and this wee boy's daddy, Brian McGuigan, would have been there. The Alice Cassidy and Elizabeth would have been two more.
Martin, do you remember any big events at your time with the youth club?
I do, yeah. There's two that comes to mind. I know we visited, there used to be an American army base in Derry where youth groups could have gone along, and you had a good, nice activity. You had games, you did assault courses and all of that. So we've been to that a couple of times. And another time we went to the Antrim Forum. There was it was like a blitz, it was a full day of games. There was like five-a-side soccer and things. That was the one thing that we took part in, was a five-a-side soccer. I remember being there, and it was very exciting. It was the first time we'd been to something sort of really big like that, and there was youth clubs from all over the north attending it. So that was a big event for us.
How long did the youth club go on for, Martin?
The youth club lasted for, I think it was just about 14, 15 years. The youth club lasted.
When did it close?
It was 1983, I think.
Why is there not a youth club anymore?
Well, now, that would be a tough one to answer. I know there's a demand. I know there is a demand for a youth club. Maybe it's just there's no one feels that they have. Maybe some people just don't feel that they've got the ability. But believe you me, anyone who's interested in children, anyone who can organise games, can run a youth club.
Do you enjoy your years in youth club?
Loved it. All of the members enjoyed it because they were all part of it. It was their youth club. They all ran the youth. They all helped run the youth club. I may have been leader, but all the committee and were all young people. There were no adults. It was all young people. It was a youth club run by young people for young people.
We are also joined by Nuala Cassidy, who worked as a leader in the youth club. Hello, Nuala.
Hello, Lisa.
Can you tell us a bit about when you started in the youth club?
Yes, I didn't start right at the very beginning of the youth club as a member because I was a little bit too young, but I was one of the first members, and remained a member and a leader for many years until I left Northern Ireland to travel in 1980. I was for a time the DJ of the youth club, and I have to say that my taste in music wasn't everybody else's at times, but it worked okay. I took part in organising a whole lot of different activities as well to raise money and funds, and I led the youth club by myself for a time after Martin left as leader, and he then rejoined at a later stage, and we had a lot of good fun.
You said you were a DJ for the Way. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, it was a very unofficial sort of a DJ. We used to have a part of every night at the youth club where there was dancing, usually at the end of the night. So I chose the records and I played the records, and I think I probably bought the records as well. But at the time I don't think I asked anybody what they would like me to buy. I just went ahead and bought what I wanted to play myself.
What sort of records did you buy?
Well, I can remember buying an LP by the Supremes, and I used to buy whatever was #1 in the charts at the time. I can remember buying a song called In the Summertime by Mungo Jerry. Have you ever heard of them?
No.
No, they're probably ancient history then. And I can remember buying an LP by Creedence Clearwater Revival. I don't suppose you've heard of them either.
No.
Oh dear.
You said you had discos. Did you ever have nights where you had dances and people came in to sing for you?
We did. We had dances very regularly. There were a couple of big events during the year. One of them was called the Tramps Ball. It always happened at Halloween, and lots of people went dressed up as tramps, which wasn't difficult, of course. And we had another one occasionally, which was a bonfire night. That used to be held in my daddy's field, behind the old school. And there'd be a huge bonfire and food, and we got really big groups of the time to come to play there. One year we had Brian Call, and Mummy made him his tea in our house. Mummy was very excited, but he didn't sing any songs for her. She was annoyed. Then another night we had Johnny McAvoy. That was the biggest catch of all. except that it rained. A lot. So at the last minute we had to relocate the bonfire night without the bonfire to St Colum's Hall in Draperstown at the very last minute. We used to have DJs come from downtown radio for the discos. Like, let me see if I remember the names. Big T, I don't think he's on anymore. And there's a guy called Henny, he was another DJ.
Noah,
Yes, Carol.
was there much people involved in the youth club? Like, how many attended, like a night, roughly?
Oh, it varied a lot, Karen. In the summertime, there was probably very few people would attend, but we always kept open in the summertime. In the winter, we would have had the best attendance. I'd say up to 40 people at a time. And I would say most of your mummies or daddies or aunties would have gone at some stage or other to the youth club in Moneyneena. Your daddy went, he certainly did, and did your uncles and your auntie? And your auntie did too?
Which auntie was that, Noah? Was it my Auntie Bridge?
It was indeed, your Auntie Bridge.
My auntie have my auntie.
That's right.
In the summertime, when the weather is high, you can stretch right up and touch the sky. When the weather's fine, you got women on your mind. Have a drink, have a drive, go out and see what you can find. If a daddy's rich, take her out for a meal. If a daddy's poor, just do what you feel. Speed along the lane, you can turn or a turn of 25. When the sun goes down, you can make it good and live by. We're not great people, we're not dirty, we're not mean. We love everybody, but we do as we please. When the weather's fine, we go fishing or go sailing in the sea. We're always happy, life's for living, yeah, that's our philosophy. Sing along with us, dee-dee-dee-dee-dee, da-da-da-da-da, yeah, we're happy. Da-da-da, dee-da-da-dee-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da, all right, da-da-da-da-da-da. All right. When the winter's here, yeah, it's party time. Bring a bottle, wag it back, 'cause it'll soon be summertime. And we'll sing again. We go driving, or maybe we'll settle down.
I'm Leona Group. I'm here with some of my classmates to talk to Mal and Kelly on the location of the old school. It doesn't look much today when you compare it to our modern school. Malachi, was it a nice school when you were a boy?
Well, Leona, we thought it was a nice school because there wasn't any other school or a better school to look at or to compare it with. It's now just an old single room with sandstone. And later on, there was a piece added on, that brighter coloured part there was added on, corrugated iron. Looks lovely in your picture, and my view is not all that pretty, but not as pretty as the original building. But we thought it was a fine school.
What was it like, Malachi, whenever you went to the toilet?
Well, as you see from the chart, beautiful chart actually, up there, we had outside toilets, which were simply little wooden structures. We call them closets. We asked, please teacher, can I go to the closet? And I would imagine that in your school now you line up and you've got all these wonderful toilets. Now we used to go out one at a time because it would only take one at a time. In the old building up the road, there were two toilets, one for the boys and one for the girls on the other side of the garden playground.
Malachi, it says in our chart room that it only had, on our chart board that it only had 2 classrooms. Was the school not very crammed?
Well, yes, the school was very crammed, especially in the senior end, so cramped in fact that some pupils had to stand and take turns at sitting on the desks. We used to have to line out for reading, as we called towing the line. And the master, he got a stick of chalk and he drew a line on the floor. This was an open space beside the desks, and we stood round in a circle and we read one after another. So that relieved the crowding a wee bit, but the school was crowded all right.
Where did you get water at?
Well, water was always a problem because there was no running water in the school. Somebody said the only water was the water that ran down the walls. But when we needed water to make tea, or for the cookery, for the big girls, as we called them, the senior girls, because you must remember at that time primary schools ran up until 14. So we had to go to McDade's well for water, which was about half a mile away. And it was great fun because we got out with the wee can and way down through the fields, down the road, and we didn't rush back for the water. It was always a great privilege to get these teachers connecting for the water. And away we went for the water. Spent maybe half an hour or more getting the water back. So,
What was the water used for?
oh, it wasn't used for a lot more than making tea for the teachers, you see. The teachers had to get tea in the middle of the day because they had to get something to drink, keep their pipes going. So after they had tea made at lunch, the water was boiled in the stove and some tea was made. But then they also kept a wee case of water for washing up. And if somebody fell, cut a finger or cut their knee or had some problem like that, we would also have the water for washing that up. So we kept that wee case of water for that.
It said the discipline was severe. I know what that means, but was it like really hard?
This was always a very tough question because I would have thought, looking back now, in my experience of school in the 1940s, the teachers we had weren't particularly hard. I would use the word strict rather than severe. Severe suggests that there's a lot of beating went on. I remember James Campbell, the master in my time. He was a very pleasant, quiet man, and he didn't seem to use the stick a lot. There was a stick, of course, a little stick which you cut out of the hedge, more like a switch, and he might rattle the desk an odd time. But other than that, there wasn't a lot of beating, let's say. Not a lot of that. Maybe a bit of scolding, but that was how things were at the time, because I remember when we'd be going home from school, if somebody met us, they'd say, well, how did you get on at school today? How many slaps did you get? Because it was expected that you might get slapped at school if you didn't behave yourself.
What did you use for writing on? Like, did you use notebooks or did you have to write a slip?
I started in about 1941. Now, 1941 was just at the start of the war. There was a big war went on, we called it the Second World War, and one of the effects that had was that there was a great scarcity of paper. So we started to write. We had slates, a square thing, about a foot square or so. If you know what a foot, it's 30 centimetres square, and the teacher gave us a bit of chalk, and we learned to make our letters on that. And then, of course, when you're finished, you had a wee cloth or a wee rubber, and you just cleaned it off and you started all over again, which meant that we weren't using very much paper. And then, at a later stage, we went on to pencils. And even before we left the infant rooms, we learned to write with pen and ink. Ink was something the teachers made and put into the little ink wells. I don't think you have ink wells in your desks now. Well, there used to be a little hole in the front of the desk, a little container, and there was some ink put in that. You dipped your pen into it and made blots.
When it was a windy day, was there a lot of smoke in the classroom because of the fire?
Yes, it was. Say if the wind blew in a certain direction, the stovepipe maybe wasn't tall enough to carry the smoke away from the school, and it blew back down through the stove. And some days we had to go outside and stand out where we were standing earlier.
Okay. In 1958, the school closed. Who was the principal at that time, and what happened immediately after that? What happened after the school closed?
Well, in 1958, as you say, the school closed. It got a bit dilapidated and it wasn't meeting the needs of the parish at the time. It was, as I said already, as Peter's question was about the water, it wasn't good enough in 1958 to carry the water from the well. So they decided that they needed to build a new school. So the parish then decided a new school had to be built, and that's what happened here. That this new school, which we now have here, was then built around about that time, and Master Campbell, James Campbell, was the headmaster at that time, 1958, and he then and his teachers, I think Miss McKenna was the teacher, they moved down to this school, brand new school, about 1958, 1959, around about then. And the old building then remained as you see it today. It was used for a while for a little hall, and then it was also used for a youth club.
Mrs. Donnelly is our Irish teacher. She comes in every week to teach at our school the Irish language, St. Owen's Primary School. Gia Ditch, Mrs. Donnelly.
Gia Smerigich, Carly.
Tell us, Mrs. Donnelly, what do you teach in the school?
Well, we start with primary 1 and 2, and we do about 10 minutes there, and then we spend about 20 minutes with P3, 4 and 5, and then half an hour with primary 6 and 7. And we aim to make it as interesting as possible and as enjoyable as possible, so we do poetry, we do songs, and of course we do things in the classroom, things that the children can identify with and see. They also have done tongue twisters, and they have learned quite a lot really in the couple of years that I've been here.
We're now in Miss Stephen's class. Mrs. Donnelly, could you show us what you teach in this class?
Certainly, Aisling, no problem. What will we do? Will we do our song? Teddy, Bug, Boy? Will we try it? All right, are we all ready to sing our song?
Yes.